what gets you out of bed? Like, what motivates you?
Um, that's a good question. I have historically been a very motivated person, but just recently, in the last year or so, there's been a change in that. So it's actually something that I think would be interesting to discuss here because I know you do a lot of this self-help, self-improvement type of stuff, and it might be
Mm,
a place for us to discuss. But um, I am a motivated person. I'm a salesman, and I am high octane salesman. I don't take any. I don't like not doing well, and so
mm,
I've historically been a pretty good performer. I've won some sales awards and stuff like that, and so that's what keeps me going. Is I like to be the best at my trade. Um, and so that's what gets me up. Like, what can I do today? I always have an agenda. I always have a plan. I'm always building on what's next. And that's my primary motivation. I would say secondary, but not so much is, of course, my family. I mean, I should say that's my primary. Being a good leader to my children is the primary focus, honestly. And what does a good leader look like? Well, somebody that gets out of bed and goes to work, and I'm showing them the habits that you need to be successful through my own actions. So that's what really drives me, is just to be the best at my trade and go out there and perform. But
mm,
recently, so this is something I'm curious to maybe learn about your thoughts on. My whole life, I've lived by goals. I'm a firm believer in goals, and more than that, written down goals, and even a step further, written down goals that you share with somebody, so you have an accountability
mm,
partner. That's my wife. I mean, my wife and I have always just been very in sync with what we want to do, where we want to go, and how we want to approach the world. And leading up to about 3 years ago, most of our goals were financial based. Like, we want to pay off the house, and we want to hit this number in the 401k, and we want to have this amount saved for the kids' college, and we want to move to a better school district and perhaps a bigger house and stuff like this, which we did about 5 years ago. Um, I never thought I'd be in a situation that I am today, both financially
mm.
and career wise. And I've run into the most interesting of challenges, and that is I have accomplished all my goals and I don't have any more. And that's kind of left
Mm.
me in this like place of wallow. Um, what am I chasing now? I just shared with you, I'm a high driving salesperson. I'm always chasing something. And now in my personal life, I'm not chasing anything. So I'm honestly, I'm a little bit lost. I've had some challenges in the last 6 months to a year on um, what are my goals? What am I chasing after? And yeah, so it's an interesting
Mm.
conversation. I never thought I'd be in a position of I don't have any more financial goals.
Wow. So even I'm gonna assume that you're not a billionaire at this point.
That's a safe assumption.
Okay. So do you set up your goals in a way that I'm just kind of brainstorming of how I think a lot of people would think about this too. Um, the more money, the more stuff you can do. That's one way to think about it.
Hmm.
So do you have ambitions? For example, PulseChain goes to, $1, whatever it is. Everyone's rich. You're super rich. If you put in more than others, things like that. Do you ever think about it as steps as, okay, I can accomplish more with this wealth, depending on how much I have? Once I get past generational safety, once I get past, I buy this or that, I take care of this or that in my personal life. Do you ever think about starting a foundation? You used to think about, what can you do to make a wider impact with it? Like, because that seems like it would feed into some of your goals as well.
So it does, and outrageous generosity is something that I'm a firm believer in. And in fact, part of the reason why I'm alive today is because other people have been outrageously generous to donating to the development of pharmaceuticals and stuff like that, orphan drugs and things of that nature that just don't get a lot of funding. So our family is really, really big in generosity. We do donate to a lot of things. We participate in a lot, not as much as we should because we're busy with kids and sports, but community type of things. So, I mean, absolutely, that's one place we want to go. But as a goal, that's hard to quantify because a lot of that involves something that I don't have any control over, or I should say have very, very little control over. And that is the performance of PulseChain, PulseX, Hex, things of that nature.
So you think you're kind of holding back thinking about these ideas because you don't want to build hopes up that you'll be able to, you know, climb that ladder with the wealth, because you don't want to set up expectations to be disappointed if things, you know, are rocky for a while or take a long time.
One way to a sure life of disappointment is have unrealistic expectations of everything. It goes for vacations, it goes for Christmas, it goes, you know, anything in your life. If you're like, oh, this is gonna be the best day, or this is gonna be the most fun, or this vacation is gonna solve all my problems, and then it rains. Like, yeah. Expectations are good because they kind of drive you, but they can also be the silver bullet that just kills you, because, you know, once you've set that in your brain and you've planted that seed, it's going to grow no matter what. So, so yes, to your
like being able to balance that. Yeah.
I don't want to set a goal of something that to achieve it, I have very little control over. So it's challenging. It's just one of these things that I kind of struggle with. Like, okay, I've got some great ideas. A lot of them are out of my wheelhouse of control. So then you could say, okay, we'll set goals based on your current situation. And we've done that and we're accomplishing those. So it's like I said, it's just this kind of weird spot that I'm in, and I'm really working on trying to address it. I recognize it. You know, self-awareness is an important thing. So the question is, where do I go with that?